Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to this SP Patrons video that I'm making for Huang Judong, a custom monthly music review of a track by Dou Wei, titled Disappearing Images. That's the translation as I understand it. If we switch over to here, it is the 8th track off of this album. I have, as I've said I think previously, enjoyed my time with Dou Wei so far. It's going to be cool to hear more of them. Let's go. Let's just do it. We've got translations as well to listen through at the end. Of like lyric translations, you know? Okay, it's an interesting start to it. Very somber, isn't it? It's kind of pretty though. It's calming and pretty. The piano alongside the ride, the shuffle on the rides. I like how his vocals glide downwards to intermingle with what's being played on this piano line, and I love that shift harmonically there going up the step there. It was unexpected. I'm not even sure if that's within the same key signature. And this little sparkly, whizzy, synthy thing that we've got going here, going between the sides, is charming as well. It really is, man. I mean, honestly, I listened to this, I think, wow, this really gentle development. And it's only been 45 seconds, but it doesn't seem like 45 seconds. The post-production is kind of dope as well with that panning. Is it getting wider as it goes along, like a pendulum? I have a question about the drum production. Are there, that ride cymbal has got a really interesting tone to it. How have they done that? Have they included some electronic samples in there? It's just that ride tone and the consistency of some of the bits of the kit. No issues either way. Like, a lot of musicians use drum samples nowadays. Just that, like, the jingle jangle of it, you know. It might be a specific type of ride cymbal, you know. But I love the increase this oomph here, and the bass line coming in here is really smooth on the low end. A lot to appreciate here, you know? It's nice to have the filtering in the vocals, actually. Now that I think about it, the filtering in the vocals is absolutely lovely. It's nice to have it as almost a kind of an ethereal, misty element to the mix. It's a nice contrast to what we had earlier on with the less reverby vocals in the mid. There's this synthetic electronic stuff going on here that is really charming when paired alongside the more analog elements of like like that bass there. It's nice, and that's a distorted guitar, is it, with some like flanging modulation on the effects chain. No, I think it's, yeah, I can't figure out the drums, to be honest. Beautiful tone to this guitar solo though, really wavy. Some reverse delays. I think this would, like, if they hadn't reversed the delays and this reversed the notes, I would have had some really kind of sharp, edgy elements to the frequency response of the guitar bits, and I think that would have been a shame. Everything else is so sleek. Would have been a bit perturbing, you know? And just the ambience here, the effects, the noise and the sound and the stereo field, the whistle and the kind of the feedback, I suppose. You got that boom bum 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 bum. That little arpeggiated melody, that theme there that's going between the sides of the stereo field and the headphones, especially if you're listening to this song, I'd recommend doing it with headphones because you get this really nice stereo image there. There's lots to point out and be impressed by. Are we fading out? That's kind of dope. Slick, man. That's cool. Got no issues with that whatsoever. Great track, dude. Thank you. And we got the lyric translation here. Thank you very much again to Huang Zhudong for providing these. Dou Wei is nostalgic for much of what has disappeared. Oh, well, we're guessing what the lyrics are about. I understand. The vanishing image was floating, remnants of the past. Yeah, I think it's definitely about what has gone away. I think so. Kind of seems like we're in a time vortex or something like that, looking back at what's gone, and it's a little bit sad, but it's the tonality of it is balanced, I think, quite well. It's not like, I think if you'd had too many minor chords or too much sort of sadness from the vocal performance, it would have been an overload of negativity that this track didn't need, and Dou Wei knows how to balance it out with the calmness and smoothness of that. Even if we're calling out with those filters. Yeah, I think that this is talking about a more natural time period where people just had enough, like the resources were bountiful. You got the fisherman spreading his net. Absolutely. As I understand it, a lot of people made a living by fishing. Golden rice fields, praise of laboring peasants. Time is like the record. That's an interesting statement to make. So I think we are grieving what was past and what no longer exists. Seeing someone in ancient ape or generations of human ancestors, I don't know. That's interesting. It could be, that's true. Waving a red flag, salute past ancestors, look at the footsteps of our ancestors. So I think we're looking at what came before us and trying to show respect and understand how beautiful it was and what we don't have anymore. When my friend first introduced me to the vanishing image, he only described it as psychedelic folk music. Psychedelic and folk music are not easy to create and adapt in this framework of rock, and Dou Wei has done it here. I would agree with that. I think that that psychedelic, especially with the synths and the wavy kind of guitar tones and the delay and reverb on them, I think that's exactly what's occurred here. Again, part of what makes it a little more palatable, allows it to edge, I think, is the vocal style, where it's very calm and reserved and sort of soothing. The reason why this song is so hallucinatory is the decomposition minor 7th chord on the piano. Yeah, the minor 7th chords, they make things a lot more tempered. That smoothness comes into harmony by not committing to a full-on minor chord. The 7th is like a chill minor chord. Double electric guitar solo. Yeah, I think that elevates it. I think this song would have been lacking if we hadn't had those double guitar solos at the just because allowing that extra tonality, that extra bit of expression there would have been a gap where that wouldn't have been, both harmonically in regards to like its place in the tapestry of the arrangement, sonically in regards to a lack of that instrument in the mids there, which would have left the track feeling quite hollow, even with those kind of comfy sounding pulsating parts going between. I have seldom seen such simple but difficult to deconstruct, no copy, no track record of electric guitar solo. Yeah, it's a fascinating effort. I think that what I've learned from Dou Wei is that they absolutely know. They absolutely know how to write music. And because this is the conclusion of my review of Dou Wei. This is my conclusion of Dou Wei's track, Despairing Images, translated by T-Pel, so apologies if that's not absolutely perfect. Yeah, we've spoken more what the track is about. It's about looking back at what the times that have gone by where things used to be better and missing them, showing respect to them and having to walk forward away from where things used to be into an unknown, uncertain consequence, I suppose, of the actions that separated the two. The vocalist was so charmingly clear and transient, and an absolute calmness and sincerity in the vocal performance nonetheless elevates it. We don't get the feeling here that we are missing anything particularly, if it put more effort, like energy, not effort. I think it's put a tremendous amount of effort into it, but like if we put more energy and oomph behind it, it would have been a little bit too loud, I think, for the rest of the instruments. Even in those parts we had the kind of wishy-washy distortion tones and it was quite full. The structure, to continue with the vocals, the melodies, the phrasing there, you know, was sensational. The different tones and textures between the vocals at the start and then later on with the filter was fantastic. You know, they clearly stood apart and were distinguished, both tonally and with the way we worded them out. We didn't really need more than that. I think that sometimes musicians are oversaturate their music with vocals, and it doesn't allow enough space for the accompaniment to give itself a life, something for the audience to listen to hold on to. I think that it's always a shame when people are too paranoid about that. Let the instruments play, let the music play. You know, you can tell your story in bits, have breaks so that people appreciate the voice coming back. The instrumental parts, again, like I think the analysis of this music here done, author Duckwing, was absolutely more than enough. So I'll probably I mean, I would have zoomed in when I was reading through it, of course, but this is more than enough to explain, you know, sing style with rock, drum, and bass interlaced with psychedelic tones. It does make it unique. I haven't really listened to a lot of music like that, especially from that part of the world. Dou Wei is a nice reintroduction into this type of music because we also don't get a lot of musicians making music like this nowadays. We just don't. I mean, this was released in 1998, in October 1998. So obviously that was 24 years ago, it was a while ago. It was, 1998 was when I was 7 years old. That was a long time ago, but it's timeless. I think that this music still holds up nowadays, in part because of the clarity and the professionalism and the capability and proficiency of the musicians involved within that performance there on the instruments, but also I think in part because we have musicians here who not only know how to play their instruments but also create harmonies and melodies and have those bass lines roll with those chords and let the drums come in and just have that signature eighth note kind of vibe and pump it throughout, but not too much to allow it to still be calm. You know, we have this beauty here again with those synth parts where there were fairly minimalist concepts that when put together into that puzzle fit in there, mixed in. It was absolutely spectacular. Really impressive stuff, man, from Dou Wei. And just, it was, again, that minor seventh there, but also just a really pleasant synth concepts. It makes you nostalgic for a time. It's not too sad, but you know that something's been lost. Finally, the recording, mixing, and mastering, the studio production was absolutely wonderful. I had that analog acoustic kind of vibe to it, you know, recorded in a studio, everyone in the same room, just playing along, having a fantastic time with it. EQing, fixed change, limiting, compression, nailed it, you know. Lovely panning of the instruments, a little bit of automation on those synth parts going between the right and left sides of the stereo channel. The guitar tones, the guitar solos there were mixed wonderfully. Just, you know, you can really screw up a guitar solo with too much reverb, but I think just they added the right amount to really make it stand out and make the audience pay more attention to it, which is what you want. And yeah, everything was natural on the frequency spectrum. The gluing of the various elements was fantastic. No complaints. Well done. Great song. But this is effectively my SP Patrons review of Dou Wei's Disappearing Images. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go and show Dou Wei some love via their various social medias and their Spotify page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.